You don't want to hear me say this, but people in the crypto world think of you as something of a legendary figure. You know that, right?
A lot of people say that I convince them to take a serious look into crypto.
So given that is the case, and that's true, by the way, I've heard many of those people say that to me themselves. What does the world need to understand about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency more broadly, and perhaps, as an addition to that, blockchain?
I think, if anything, people should know that we are living through a really interesting intellectual experiment, right? It's going on.
An experiment?
It is an experiment, yes. And it's going on right in front of our noses. And it's like, you know, it's an experiment. It may work, it may not work. I think in either case, it's interesting that it's happening right now, so it's worthwhile paying attention. That if it works, it could be quite relevant. And even if it doesn't work, I think the learnings are quite important. So
people might find it a bit confusing that somebody who's built a business on Bitcoin is sitting here saying, it might work, it might not work. Why might it not work?
I think it would be irresponsible to not acknowledge that it could not work. I think the chances of this experiment not working are non-trivial. And I think it's all important for people who know that, like myself, to always acknowledge that and let people know that. And it may not work. Look, this is a technical experiment, and even though it has proven to be technically really incredibly robust, it could still fail. You know, technology is made by humans. Humans are fallible, and we could find something that we haven't found in 10 years that renders the system worthless. I think it's more likely that will not happen, but that could happen. So you think the chances of success are better than the chances of failure? I think so. I think at this point the chances of success are better than the chances of failure.
Now let's talk about what specifically you think has a good chance of succeeding. Because as we've established very briefly, crypto has become a catch-all term for a lot of things.
Yes.
There's Bitcoin, there's Ether, there's EOS, there's Ripple, there's Tether, I mean, the list goes, there's Telegram, the Telegram coin, the list goes, Kodak coin. We could keep going.
I think that we are in the equivalent of 1992 for the internet, right? In 1992, we didn't call it the internet, we just called the name of the protocol, which is TCP/IP. And if you wanted, all you needed to know back then is that there was this new protocol that moved information, 1, from anywhere to anywhere, 2, in real time, and 3, for free. And it didn't take a lot of imagination to say that may change information forever. It may change communications, entertainment. And you may say, well, but I cannot download a picture much more. When can I watch a movie on it? You know, look, if it works, it will do all of that and more, right? But it may not work. It worked. So we're in 1992 for crypto and for Bitcoin. And the three things that crypto does are fairly straightforward. People make it more complicated, but it's not complicated. It's quite simple. The only thing that a blockchain brought to the world that was not possible before a blockchain is that for the first time we have a computer system that is sovereign, that is autonomous. Up until
answers to no one.
So answers to no one. Answers to its own rules.
Why is that important?
It is important first because it has never been accomplished before, and I think and it has never really been accomplished since. There is this one system that is sovereign. You know, sovereigns used to be kings, now they're nation states, and now how this little computer system that it's a sovereign, that it only obeys its own rules. It has two more related important attributes. It's uncensorable. Nobody can censor, nobody can keep you from receiving a transaction, sending a transaction, or holding value in it. And number 3, that there will never be more than a given number of, in the case of Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoin.
Right. So if the experiment is successful,
yes,
what changes? How does the world change? How does the Bitcoin that I could buy today for $6,500 change things?
If Bitcoin is successful, we're going to take at least 7 years to figure that out, and maybe 10 or 20 is going to take a long time. But a world in which Bitcoin is successful, it's a world in which Bitcoin has become two things. It's a global standard of value, and it's a global standard of settlement. A global non-political standard of value and non-political standard of settlement. Just like we have a non-political standard of weight and non-political standard of length, we need a non-political standard of value, and we don't have one. So a world in which Bitcoin succeeds is a world in which when you ask for the price of the Turkish lira, you get a price in bits. When you ask for the price of oil, you get a price in bits. When you ask for the price of the US dollar, you get a price in bits.
Interestingly, you're not saying that it replaces currency.
Not at all. I think it won't.
It won't replace
I think it doesn't make
currencies.
sense. No. I think
What else doesn't... Okay, so hang on a second, because we're going to run out of time. And then what else doesn't make sense? So many things are attributed to and imputed to crypto that we're led to believe it's going to change everything. What else doesn't change?
I think most other things don't change. I think this could change value and money forever. I think that Bitcoin could change money the way the internet changed information. But this idea that a blockchain can be used to in any way change an asset that already derives its value from a central authority, like title insurance or banks or security settlement, it's really nonsensical. It's not true, and it doesn't make any sense. I also think that there's a huge bubble going on in all altcoins and ICOs, somewhat related to that.
Well, ICOs, you mean?
ICOs.